Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Speakeasy Show. It's Saturday night. It's 9 o'clock. I almost did a Chris Smack to our own show. Got the wrong time. Welcome aboard, everybody. We're going to do Ukraine Part 2 today. With Glenn Beck apparently put out Part 2, so let's see what it's all about. We'll go through it tonight, and we'll throw in some videos of maybe United Spot or something wicked. We'll see. As breaks. They let your mind absorb all of the alien rays coming through you via our alien computer. So, here we go. Tonight we have...
Are we going to introduce our co-hosts?
I'm going to. Ready? Can I do it now?
I'm ready.
Okay,
Sure.
So here we go. Up in the top right corner, the right square of Hollywood Squares, we have Rusty Iceman. Say hello, Rusty. You there, Russ? We can't hear you.
No audio.
Okay, right. Rusty fixes his audio. We'll go down to the bottom left square. It's Scott of West Texas. Say hello, Scott.
Hey, everybody. I'm back for another wild and wacky night. Loving it.
Okay. In the bottom right corner, the squares got all jumbled because Russ put his avatar up. We have Grandma Smith. There's her picture. There's Grandma Smith.
Hello, all you mega whippersnappers. How are you doing tonight?
Well, we're just doing fine, Grandma. How's everything hanging in the old folks' home?
It's really good. My colostomy bag had a little problem, but we're back on track now.
Oh, we are just so glad to hear that.
And
Bless your heart.
with me as usual and on time for this show is the sultry southern tones of Southern Sass, Doc Martin.
Hi, y'all. Glad to be back to celebrate another wonderful week of winning and cussing, discussing all things MAGA with some of my favorite peeps. Glad you're back, except for you, of course, Yankee.
Ooh. Ooh.
You're just
What
my peep.
the fuck is that?
Whoa! All right. Hi, kids.
What have we got
The
here?
language
Fucking
in this room.
I'm saying those young whippersnappers, Grandma.
I just can't believe my ears.
Well, no shit.
Oh, no. It's going to be one of those nights. I can feel it already.
I'll let Sergeant Hartman do my talking. So, who is up for becoming a spy? It seems like if you're in the CIA, you can take out the president. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I've read the transcript, so I feel that I should testify before Congress.
There you go.
Well, and I have one better than that, Grandma. I identify as a witness, so I think they should call me up there.
Well, we've got a program.
For me, it's not in my purview.
We've got a program for all you Southerners that you can join. You can become a...
I'm gonna be a double knot spy.
You could be a double knot spy. Like Eric Caramel Marshmallow. Is that his name? Eric Cotton Marshmallow? Wait, are we going to go right? Eric Cotton Marshmallow, the whistleblower.
Oh, are we talking about the charred marshmallow?
Yeah. Charred marshmallow? Is that what he is?
That's what I call him. A mean gossip.
Ooh.
Because he's not a whistleblower. He's not even a leaker, because you can't leak something you didn't even hear first or second or third hand. I call fourth hand and on gossip, evil gossip.
Yeah, I mean, they came right out and asked him.
mellow.
I think it's just
Mellow.
it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, because they came right and asked him, what did he do? Are you aware of anything he did illegal? No. It's all the stuff they asked, they're like, no. Have you never even meet him or talked to him? Never met him, never talked to him, ever.
That was totally ridiculous.
Most that's nothing I've ever heard.
I'm feelings and emotions.
And then Yovanovitch, I'm saying, number one, go get your due done if you're going to be in front of the whole United States. Don't get up there looking like a wired-haired, frizzy thing. And number two, she wasn't even, number one, she wasn't fired. She's still working for the State Department and got a real cush job up at some university. And number two, she wasn't even ambassador this year. Number three, all she did was cry about her hurt feelings. And, I'm sorry, what, we're supposed to give you a brownie button because you chose to move 30 times, working for the United States of America, being paid very well and enjoying all the fruits of a very successful position. Oh, yeah, I really cried a river of tears for you.
Yeah, and can you imagine her pension package, too, when she does it?
Yeah, and then she wasn't even an ambassador in 2019.
All right, guys.
She was trying to circumvent the foreign policy of the United States of America.
Okay.
Kiss my southern grits is all I got to say to you, lady.
With that said, let's get into it here.
But I just want to... The only question I had after that is whether or not there's a hair club for women.
He needs it. Her and Hillary. If you notice, Hillary never does her hair unless she's running for office. The only time that woman ever has a decent hairdo, when she was Secretary of State and had that long, thin, mousy hair, and she'd pull it back in a real tight ponytail when she's big as a horse, and it just made her really big. And she was an embarrassment. I'm going, people of the rest of the world are not going to know that there are people that really take some pride in their appearance. Some other time than when they're running for office. That's the only time. And whoever told her muumuus were in style for fat people really should think that one again. Just say it.
Okay, guys.
I'm not mad.
We're going to get into some substance here, guys. Let's go. Ready?
Hit it.
Okay.
Be up to us now to
I skipped a bunch
expose
in the
them.
beginning, so let's get past that.
Explode because I know what you're about to know. How do you cut through all of this crap? Adam Schiff today, at the end of his opening statement to begin the public impeachment inquiry, said this.
Benjamin Franklin was asked what kind of a country America was to become. A republic, he answered, if you can keep it.
Okay.
The fundamental issue raised by the impeachment inquiry into Donald J. Trump is, can we keep it?
Okay, got it. Adam Schiff thinks President Trump is threatening the existence of the republic. But how about a few John Adams quotes thrown in there as well? Because they seem even more relevant. Adams said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Also, liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people. And facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence.
Okay, we're going to get past that opening statement and head right to the... Okay, here we go.
Multiple things that the left and the mainstream media intentionally leave out when they talk about Trump and Ukraine. I showed you how the media would just intentionally leave things out and mislead you. The whistleblower had to be heard. Well, we want to hear the whistleblower, but now the whistleblower can't be heard. Over the last couple of months, have you wondered why Ukraine, of all places, has dominated the news? Who knew that the U.S. was so closely involved? And now, here we are, dealing with these people People we've never even heard of, having to learn all kinds of new names, new places. And is it worth it? Is this a puppet show? Did the president do something? What is the truth? Tonight, I want to teach you the difference between conspiracy fact and conspiracy theory. There is a difference. One is, hey, I bet you, and the other is, no, we have facts. To show you that what I'm going to present tonight is not a theory, it's a fact, you can just go back into the past century and you can see how this is played out over and over and over again. In the last century, you'll see the growing government reach, the U.S. government, whether it's Woodrow Wilson, I hate this guy, and his work in redesigning the international borders after World War I. Here he is with his 14 points speech. Or maybe it's FDR. FDR deciding all kinds of things for the people because he knows best, including he's the guy who brought us into bed with the Saudis. We had to be friends with the Saudis. How much have we paid for that relationship? Was that a mistake or was that right? But if you look, example after example, Iraq. This is the Bay of Pigs. This was because of our fooling around and trying to nation build in Iran. This is the Benghazi attack. I mean, it's over and over and over again. We never seem to learn our lesson. Every time we meddle outside of our borders, it's the same thing, and it bites us squarely in the ass. And both parties say they're done with it. I mean, I think this is what this election was all about. This guy, people were saying, you know what? I don't want to be the world's policeman anymore. This guy said, I'm going to get us out. But did he? People who say, I don't want to meddle in other people's business. Those cries just seem to bounce off thick walls of Americans' monolithic deep state. Oh, and there is one. And if you thought hope and change was going to alter this, no, it's not going to. The U.S. meddling in other countries. If you think that's over, I'm going to show you some things tonight in their own words, with their own documents, that will beg to differ. But you really have to ask yourself, is this what you want? Should we be fomenting revolution around the world? Should we be starting revolutions in foreign lands, influencing the elections, and then partnering with NGOs to create this shadow government? And partner with these NGOs that don't have anything to do with you, that will met out justice, and then also pick the candidates for the countries. Did we pick these guys, or did the people of Ukraine pick these guys? That, I guess, is what we have to decide, isn't it? All of this is being done in your name. It's being done with your money. And I don't think most people even know it, let alone are okay with it. I want to introduce you to this man. This man is Alec Ross. Now, he's from the State Department. He's the senior advisor for innovation. And here he is talking about something new, the State Department's strategy in 2012.
And to date, we've trained more than 800 civil society organizations from 50 countries around the world. This is just an unnuanced success that Secretary Clinton helped bring to the State Department.
Wow, after the Bay of Pigs and Benghazi, finally success. Now, this clip is not going to make much sense to you right now, but we will lay out all of the facts for you here in a second. Just wait. I'm asking you to stick through this special tonight, because to truly understand the complexity surrounding the current impeachment effort, to know why you must talk to the whistleblower, you must. It's going to require some patience and doing homework beyond the approved tidbits that the media tries to spoon feed you every day. They think you're a dope. They think that people can't sit through complicated things. Maybe they're right. I've never felt that way. So what is it that people are really afraid of when it comes to Ukraine and Donald Trump? Yes, they're afraid of losing an election. They could honestly be afraid, hey, is he colluding with those people to throw an election? But it's so much more complicated than just 2020. That's why we actually need the Senate to pick this impeachment inquiry up. Yes, it's going to pass in the House and it's going to have nothing. It's a show trial. But we have to reveal what's...
All right. So I stopped it, paused it there for a second. Let me get us back on here. So who agrees with them that the Senate should actually hold a trial with Justice Roberts?
I'm of mixed emotion about it. I can see some advantages, but I also can see some disadvantages with Roberts. He's so unreliable.
Well,
I think he's compromised.
Well, before you say he's compromised, he can't let hearsay evidence come in. So
I know, but I just
none of that's going to be allowed. None of Schiff's shenanigans is going to be allowed. Even if you think Roberts is compromised,
be a witness, wouldn't he?
Q people believe that, but he can't do that on national TV and say, "Okay, I'll allow it." He just can't. That's.
Are y'all saying that Roberts is actually going to be in charge in the Senate if there's an impeachment trial?
He would be.
Yes.
He would be the Chief Justice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've also read an article where Bush and others are trying to push Republicans to vote against Trump in the Senate.
Rusty, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that because that would never happen. Right. They're not going to do a secret vote. And
well, I'm
just
saying that's what I read, and that's what they're kind of up to. But we already know where Romney sits.
I would be
they
very
need 20 votes.
I would be very pessimistic about a secret vote like that. So
well, they got to know that we're going to revolt if anything happens to our president.
I think they've been warned, and I did read an interesting thing. For any of the people out there that are Q readers. Q did say follow the families, and Mitt Romney's kid was one of them that was mentioned in the same tweet as Nancy Pelosi's son, who got got charges this week on that bogus company he was running, on John Kerry. There's so many. So I think that shows that Romney feels like he's kind of fighting for his life. I think Romney and a bunch of the never Trumpers would try mischief, but I don't think that they would be successful.
But I've also heard that his district is not happy that he's a never Trumper. They think that Romney's on the wrong side this time.
I hope
and Don Jr. was asked about who his favorite Democrat was, and he said Mitt Romney.
I know. I think that was funny.
Well,
DJ T Jr. 2024.
Absolutely.
Back at the question, I think where Glenn is going with this is in a Senate trial, none of Schiff's hearsay witnesses will be allowed. None of that hearsay, I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. That won't be allowed. Whether Roberts is compromised or not, he's not going to allow that on national TV. That's how.
Well, Mitch ain't going to deal with it either.
And the other point is the evidence that they do have about Hunter Biden, Burisma, the evidence the Ukrainians have can be brought forward, which it can't be brought forward now because Schiff is blocking everything.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why the president Ukrainian president brought it to POTUS is because of chain of custody, I'm sure.
The president and all the Trump supporters can keep saying, here's the evidence, Rudy Giuliani could say it, but if it's in the Senate in the impeachment hearing, right in front of the entire country, that's not a conspiracy theory anymore, right?
Yeah, they really got their panties in a wad over Giuliani getting involved in this. I think it's hilarious.
The Dems are in deep doo-doo. I mean, there's just no other way around it. They are in such deep shit because, I mean, they're if they back down now, it doesn't matter what they do because they're going to investigate. They're going to investigate it in the Senate. They have to at this point. I think anyway.
I agree.
And even if they don't, I mean, they have lost so much of their constituents. The moderate Dems and the independents are looking at them like they're a bunch of clowns.
They are.
The election's over. Trump's got it in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're absolutely right. They boxed themselves in. There's no way out.
Mm-mm.
Okay,
they did not leave. And you know, that planning would be exactly the same kind of planning that they would implement on the U.S.'s behalf, always having their head in the sand. You know, another reason that they were so mad about Syria is because, you know, think about it. They make a lot of shady money through these continuous wars. If you noticed, it's war, it's war, it's war. Well, that's also how the World Banks took over these countries, is because they're having to loan them money that at exorbitant interest rates to fight all these endless wars. And then the banks control these countries and who they've brought in. And see, with POTUS knowing what they're doing, he's putting a stop to a lot of that. And they're going to be losing access to all their underhanded monies, which controls these foreign governments.
All right.
It'll be glorious.
We'll keep rolling the video here and see where he goes with it.
Really going on with our State Department and what they're doing overseas to air our dirtiest laundry and maybe, just maybe, claw our way back to some legitimacy in the world. But we need context and we need background. You know, the things that the mainstream media never provides. That's why we're bringing you these specials. That's why I'm asking you to join us in this quest by subscribing to the Blaze TV. We cannot do this without your help. We've made this special free so everyone can watch.
All right, we skipped that.
They're starting to hit hard. One of the Fabian Socialist Society's symbols is this. It's a tortoise. And, you know, the story of the tortoise and the hare. It represents their overall strategy in converting a government to socialism, incrementally, over time, rather than just trying to do it through a violent revolution. The motto that always went with the Fabian tortoise said, "When I strike hard." The Fabian Society, their coat of arms is this. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing, which represented the Fabian Society's method. I mean, gotta hand it to them. At least they're being honest about their deception, I guess. We've talked about this several times. This is the Fabian Socialist window. It's a stained glass window. The Fabian window designed by an early Fabian member that everybody loves. Oh my gosh, George Bernard Shaw. He's a playwright. He's a genius. He's won all kinds of awards. We should celebrate him and do all of his plays. The guy was a monster. This was one of his first books, Intelligent Women's Guide to Socialism and Capitalism by George Bernard Shaw. He was a Fabian socialist. He is also the guy who came up with the idea of maybe we can make some kind of a chamber and fill it with gas. That's George Bernard Shaw. So in this window that he designed, he depicted the Fabian founders. He included himself in the starring role, building the new world. This is him hammering the world. See the guy with the bellows. They're heating the globe as if it's a piece of hot red steel. Then they hammer it into the shape they want. On the shield above the world, they have the wolf in sheep's clothing. The message across the top of the window says this: pray devoutly, hammer stoutly, and remold it nearer to the heart's desire. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? And pray devoutly, hammer stoutly. The Fabians were all about the concept of gradualism. And the crazy thing is, it's working. the Fabian Society, founded Britain's Labour Party in 1900. Here's Britain's Labour Party that they started, and it's still going strong today. In 1951, the Fabians took their vision global, creating a couple of things. The Socialist International Organization, still...
I've seen that symbol a lot in the last few years. Right? The hand, the clenched fist. We've seen that a lot, especially in the last few years. The Resistance has that as their symbol, don't they? The clenched fist.
Yes, they do.
And of course, the OK symbol is our white supremacy signal for some reason.
Oh, we just went red. Thank you, Scott.
What'd you say?
I said we just went red. Thank you, Scott. This is a pretty interesting history. I did not know that about George Bernard Shaw coming up with the concept of the gas chamber.
Today. Their goal of Socialist International was to be a central coordinator for the worldwide socialist movement. It seeks to establish a world government and views the UN as the ideal way to accomplish this goal. When they had their Oslo conference, here they are, originally. When they had their Oslo conference, though, in 1962, they said, the ultimate objective of the parties of Socialist International is nothing less than world government. As a first step towards it, then we seek to strengthen the United Nations so it may become more and more effective. Even today, Socialist International is committed to a new democratic order. In their Declaration of Principles, they state, the international challenge is nothing less than the beginning of a new democratic world society. We can't allow blocs, nations, and private corporations to shape the political structure of the planet as a mere byproduct of their own self-interest. Strengthening the United Nations is the important step in the creation of this new democratic world society.
All of these quotes sound like the Democrats on the campaign trail. So this is where he's going with this. I see where he's going with this. This is why he's calling it the Democrats' Hydra. If you watch the Marvel movies, Hydra is a secret evil society that's trying to take down the entire world, right? And run it. They want to run it, the entire thing.
By the way, to give you some idea where the American socialists are headed, in 2017, the Democratic Socialists of America voted to withdraw from the International Socialist Union because they said these guys aren't left enough. Feels too many socialist international member parties in other countries just aren't doing enough to bring that one world government into play. Now, these are the people today, of course, that we know. But there's lots of groups. Today's Fabian Society gets significant funding from the Foundation for European Progressive Studies. FEPS is the think tank wing of the Party of European Socialists. The PES is the association that all of the members of the socialist parties in the EU nations are part of. It's all part of an umbrella political party that campaigns to get socialists elected to the European Parliament. Naturally, all these European socialist parties are also members of the Socialists International. Another vital way Fabian socialists achieve gradualism, well, created university, especially really prestigious ones. In fact, this guy in 1894, George Bernard Shaw, and three other prominent Fabians decided to use the 20,000-pound gift the society gave him, and they created the London School of Economics. Today, The Guardian describes the school as political clout, as being closely wired to Parliament, Whitehall, and the Bank of England, which is precisely what the Fabians set out to do. In 2006, it was a perfect moment illustrating the slow and steady success of the Fabian Socialist project, when the original Fabian window was reinstalled in the London School of Economics. Who had their picture taken in front of it? Who spoke at the unveiling ceremony? Labour Party and Fabian Socialist Minister Tony Blair. By the way,
when you guys want me to pause this, let me know, okay?
This is the graduating class of the London School of Economics in 1954. In that you'll find this young, handsome man. George Soros graduated in 54 with a philosophy and economics degree. I'm not exactly sure what kind of philosophy they teach there, but I could guess. All right. Let's go back to America, because that's what we really care about, right? Well, as socialists developed their slow and steady approach in England, socialists were trying to gain a foothold in America as well. This guy is Walter Lippmann. He's a famous American journalist and was a member of the New York Socialist Party. In fact, here's the New York Socialist Party at the beginning. In France, near the end of World War I, he worked briefly on the staff of this guy, Edward House. Now, Edward House is really interesting because here he is with Woodrow Wilson and his really evil wife, who was actually president for a while, but that's a different story. Here he is over here with the president. Now, House was the president's closest advisor. Wilson and House's partnership was a little shady because House wasn't a member of Wilson's cabinet. He had no official position at all, and yet he lived at the White House. In 1917, House put Lippmann in charge of a secret panel. It was a presidential top secret research group. Here they are. It's called the Inquiry, which made up pretty much almost the entirety of the Ivy League academics. And Lippmann recruited most of the advisors, and the Inquiry met in secret to design America's post-World War I plans for the world. While the Inquiry was hard at work, Wilson wrote this to House, quote, "When the war is over, we can force them," meaning the European allies, "to our way of thinking, because by that time they will, among other things, be financially in our hands." Holy cow, that sounds pretty evil. In December 1917, the Inquiry sent Wilson a report which detailed how the U.S. could use money as a weapon for a diplomatic offensive to manipulate Europe when the war was finally over. In January 1918, Wilson worked in a room alone with Colonel House, and together they worked directly from the Inquiry's report to type this out. This is Woodrow Wilson's famous 14 points. This could be considered the birth of the deep state. Wilson's 14 points, of course, helped create something else. This is an original letter from Woodrow Wilson talking about the League of Nations and how it is the only thing that will save the world, and Europe must follow along. The League of Nations, in particular, this, the 14th point, called for something like it. It was the world's first major attempt at a structure for world government. Well, Wilson took several members of the Inquiry with him to France for the Paris Peace Conference. Here they are in Paris, France, and here is the Paris Peace Conference. Now, Lippmann, as part of the delegation, when the conference was over, the Inquiry members returned to the U.S. and created this. Oh, here's where it gets conspiratorial. The Council on Foreign Relations. It would be an organization of American diplomats and other government officials. Here they are. Here are the government diplomats. Here's some other officials. Here's some bankers. some high-level journalists, a ton of academics were there. I mean, it was all of it. It was supposed to be nonpartisan, of course. The stated aim of the CFR would be to develop and influence government policy. So it was outside of the government. In other words, just to continue doing the work that was set out by the inquiry. The official history of the Council of Foreign Relations is even called Continuing the Inquiry. Conspiracies. All right, over time, the CFR would prove to be the perfect marriage between academia and the media to affect government policy. So now, let's fast forward 20 years. It's 1939. America's about to go to war again, mainly because of all of the things that Wilson did after World War I. But this time, FDR is president, and he's a Wilson admirer. The most socialist-leaning president in American history so far. And shortly after World War II broke out in 1939, the Rockefellers decided to fund a 5-year top-secret Council on Foreign Relations project called the War and Peace Studies. Now, at that time, the State Department was still relatively small, and with a war on the horizon for the U.S., the Council on Foreign Relations saw a golden opportunity. The CFR proposed that this top-secret research project would shape American foreign policy, just like the inquiry had done under Wilson. So over the next 5 years of the project, the War and Peace Studies Group produced 682 memos for the State Department. All of them were marked classified at the time. The State Department marked all of the documents classified. Neither party wanted it to be known that the State Department was collaborating with some outside group. All right. 2 years after the top-secret War and Peace Studies project began, the U.S. government formed another tight partnership with people from the outside. FDR wanted an organization that would campaign against isolationism that was dominant across the country at the time. And isolationism, was it isolationism as we think, or is it just like, can we stay out of everybody else's business? This was months before Pearl Harbor. So he needed help shaping public opinion in support of the war, you know, just in case. Well, his wife was help. Eleanor Roosevelt, she was named honorary co-chair of the new organization called Freedom House. Whoa, who doesn't love that? It's like the Patriot Act, except in a house. It was funded by the U.S. government, yet somehow classified as a non-government organization. How's that possible? This is just the first instance of an NGO getting U.S. funds, your tax dollars, doing the will of the State Department without you knowing about it. And it wouldn't be the last time. The first 2 years of World War II were, let's just say, very busy for FDR and the State Department, since the League of Nations had obviously failed its primary mission, and it looks like our meddling led to another war. The State Department started working on a plan for a New World Organization in 1931. FDR even sketched out the UN structure while he was meeting in Tehran. That conference happened in 1943. And the Council on Foreign Relations, those members, well, they worked on a top-secret War and Peace Studies project, and they also attended the Dumbarton Oaks Conference in 1944, where the United Nations was designed. Oh, it was great. I think this is them in 1944 here. When the UN officially began a year later, one of the leaders in designing the UN Security Council was this guy. He's a Norwegian socialist. His name is Trygve Lie. I don't know. What do I look Scandinavian? He was also elected as the UN's first general secretary. Oh, wow. A socialist. Score another win for the Fabians' gradualism strategy. So obviously, the UN had, stuck around And it's been here long enough to become bloated, corrupt, and ineffective, just like...
Yeah, Doc?
I was just going to say, you know, for people that say they're the party that says that they're anti-war, isn't it ironic that they're behind getting us in so many wars? Doesn't it make you wonder why?
Oh, absolutely.
I think this is telling us right here.
Somebody shut their camera off?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I wonder if the Rothschilds had anything to do with the Rockefellers in all of this, too.
Oh, I believe they did. I think they were all in bed together.
I think the Rothschilds and all of the elite, I think they are all intertwined, intermarried. I think that's why half of their kids are so weird, is because they're also interrelated and intermarried. Telling you.
It is.
Don't marry your cousins. Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to comment for a party that, you know, says that they're for blacks, they weren't against slavery, and for a party that says they're anti-war, they're the biggest war hawks around.
Yes.
It's always that way with the Democrats. It's like whatever they accuse you of, that's what they're
that's what they're doing.
Bingo.
Just like with this organization that they said was funded by federal dollars, while saying it wasn't a government organization. Now, does that also sound like Planned Parenthood? I mean, how else are they using our tax dollars against our express wishes secretly without us realizing it? I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. God only knows what's out there.
The reason
they're evil incarnate.
The reason they want wars all the time is to get closer to the objective, and that's the New World Order, one world government.
That and to fund themselves because they make money off of it.
Well, the New World Order, even George Sr., because remember in one of his speeches, he called for the New World Order.
So did the Pope just a couple of days ago.
Just
saying, the Pope's gone off the rail lately.
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 more kids that came forward and said they were raped inside the Vatican.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Jeez.
Good gosh. Makes you wonder how people can turn out so evil.
Yeah, and he was saying something about people that, you know, were against the LGBTQ community. I mean, aren't Catholics supposed to be like, you know, non-homosexual, don't believe in that kind of stuff? And here he's coming out saying, you know, no, support it or you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like he called, I didn't get to see the whole tweet or anything, but I understand he was calling for America to be reined in.
Yeah. Well, he's already come out and said that
he can't be doing any reining in. I think I've got a little bit more experience in the saddle than that man does.
The most shocking thing was, though, him saying that Jesus is not God.
What?
Jesus was a great man, but he is not God.
The Pope said that?
Yes, about 2 weeks ago.
It almost sounds like the devil's infiltrated the Vatican.
Oh yeah,
that goes against their teachings.
So what's the Trinity then?
Doing that, so. I mean, he's supporting Muslims now, and I mean, coming up with this Catholic-Muslim faith.
Yes, I did see that.
Freaking break.
Well, if you want to research a little bit, I think that they ousted that other pope illegally, and because remember he was supposed to be Peter of Romanov or something like that, and every pope's name had been exactly as they had predicted until him, and then he went off. I think he's undercover, so I think we got to keep our eye on him because he could be a precursor of some things to come if you get my drift.
Well, you know,
we know in the end we don't win this war.
They accused the last pope of helping the Nazis, right? So this guy who's pope now is 100 times plus worse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, it's 10 o'clock, so I'm going to put a little United Spot break up. A new one from United Spot.
Hey, Ambassador,
good.
I just want to thank you for your decades of service. You know, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. What you did, Ambassador, is very courageous and brave. You answered questions. Again, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I was handed a subpoena, so legally I have to be here. Oh, you poor thing. You've endured threats and insults. Hey, pencil neck, why don't you shut the hell up? Did you hear what he said? Hey, order in my court. Hey, Shifty Shift, your court is a joke. Your two witnesses yesterday were a joke. The lady sitting next to me is the biggest joke of all. You quiet down there, Mr. Poopy Pants. Yeah, why don't you learn some manners, Trump? That man need to be impeached. I should have been in charge. Darn pop. Trump, I will not let you speak badly about the ambassador. Everywhere this woman has gone has turned to crap. She started off in Somalia. Hey, how did that go? Oh, you're just a bully. Even the Ukrainian president thinks you're a piece of crap. You know, witness intimidation is a crime, no matter who does it. Hey, Hillary, you mind repeating that? Yeah! Order in my court! Quiet down, you foolish Democrat! I'm calling my first witness! This witness is not recognized! Once again, Schiff, you refuse to let duly elected members of Congress ask questions to the witness simply because we're Republicans. Everybody ignore her! She's a Republican! Ha! I expect nothing more from you, Shifty Schiff. Your behavior is unacceptable, and you continue to abuse your chairmanship. Ignore the Republicans! Hey, Democrats! You want to impeach something? Impeach this! Put me on your desk and watch my finger fly! Get your impeach this finger flipping action figure right now! Let's make all those snowflakes melt!
I hate to make y'all jealous, but you know I have that. That was my favorite gift from last Christmas.
I love it. I did want to say, we were on that Pope stuff and everything, and I saw an article today. Lesbian Episcopal priest is the new head of National Abortion Federation.
Oh my gosh.
What's wrong
The
with those?
Episcopal faith, split years ago because of the progressive wing trying to take over, and they took it over. The conservatives in that religion kind of fell away, and they're reaping the rewards. I think that's called the consequences of their choices.
That's kind of like blacks for KKK.
Exactly.
Drives me nuts.
Sure doesn't it? Okay, how long is our video? Do we need to get back to it?
Oh, it's we still got an hour and a half left.
I was going to say it's the whole thing was 2 hours long, I think.
Yeah.
I knew it was quite a bit. I was trying to watch
Governments throughout the world's history. Big surprise, it's been very bad at preventing wars. Progressives, regardless of nationality, they don't really understand this about human nature. You can't legislate wars from happening. It also turns out that people aren't really interested in a world that is run by one world government. One size does not fit all. Individual peoples like their independence. So, the European Union. What are we going to do? How did that happen? Well, the European Union was, let's take it down a notch. Before we fold everybody into the UN, because nobody wants to be ruled by somebody, on the other side of the sea. So the European Union slowly formed after the end of World War II. Again, just trying to be a buffer against the extremist nationalism that wrecked their countries and their continent through two major wars. This is when Paul-Henri Spaak He is a Belgian who was the driving force behind the formation of the European Union. He was, believe it or not, oh my gosh, here he is, as a member of the Socialist Belgian Labour Party. Sensing another trend here? Socialists and progressives love the idea of centralized controlling bodies to run everything through their hand-picked experts. And they don't like it when people try to wiggle out from under their control. Oh, no. No. Just look at the Brexit chaos in England. But back in 1947, deep state had been burrowing in for over 3 decades. It was developing its own culture and agenda. And that meant that the State Department wasn't necessarily in step with every president. For example, President Truman, he recognized the new state of Israel in 1948 against the State Department's wishes. In fact, they told him, "You're not going to do it. Harry, don't do it or we'll destroy you." Oh, that sounds familiar. The State Department preferred a United Nations trusteeship, which would create a Jewish and Arab province in Palestine, but no official states. Well, with the exception of Israel, here he is with the Israel celebration. With the exception of this, everything became about nation building in the State Department and using the UN as much as possible for international cover and using at the time communist containment as justification at home. Americans have always been isolationists, but not in the bad way. We don't want to be the world's policeman. We've had that tendency since we came here, unless we're deliberately attacked. But for the next 70 years, our government rarely reflected the will of its own people in foreign affairs. They just kept doing it. We tried to nation build in Korea under Eisenhower. Here's Cuba and Vietnam under Kennedy. Here's that one. How about these two? I love these two. How about Vietnam and the Dominican Republic? Johnson, that was another one we were going to solve. Or here's Nixon, Vietnam, Cambodia, and here he is, nation building in Laos. Then with the president, President Reagan, Grenada, and Nicaragua. Have any of these worked out for us? I just want to ask. Then Panama under Bush. And then there was Somalia, and then Haiti, and Bosnia, and Serbia under Clinton. There we go. Here's Haiti. Ooh, here we are in Bosnia. I remember that worked out really well. Here he is in Serbia. And then we got to George W. Bush in Afghanistan. How's that working out? And then George W. Bush and Obama with Egypt. That didn't work out, did it? How come all these presidents are doing the same thing?
I got something. I think I figured out the secret sauce. Here's the secret sauce of why they're all doing this. Especially it's been escalated over the last 20, 30 years, hasn't it? Where we're at war in how many countries? Or gone? He just went through a whole list, but did you see how it escalated?
Mm-hmm.
Wars create a lot of refugees, don't they?
Yes, they do.
How do you get rid of nationalism? You transplant people.
That's right.
That's their secret sauce. That's what they decided they had to do. We had to have wars everywhere, all at once, one after another. Do you know how many Bosnians came here after the Bosnian War to upstate New York? We're flooded with them. And I think Michigan has quite a few Bosnians as well.
We have a whole bunch of Muslims.
And you picked up
Bosnia.
They're everywhere.
Transplanted on purpose, very quietly, and made them citizens without making them go through the usual prerequisites.
That's the secret sauce. They just have wars and they create refugees and they move them all over the world.
That's right. They money launder and they move their people.
That's how you get rid of nationalism, to have one world government.
Look at Minnesota.
Stop to it. I mean, Trump's strategy in Iran so far is just blowing me away. So we got the articles out now today about the protest. They got thousands out in the streets in Iran protesting to get rid of the. I mean, he's doing all of this stuff. It's all calculated out. He knew that these people would rise up. He pulled our people out, you know.
That's why he's got to go.
A global awakening.
That's why he's
A
got to
global
go.
awakening.
He's got to go. He's disrupting the plan.
And he's doing it without a bullet.
Yeah, that's what they don't like.
You have a war in Syria, and we get involved. Iran is in there, right? Turkey gets involved. What's that create? A lot of Iranian and Turkish refugees. Where do they go? They get transplanted to different countries.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the U.S., but they're getting transplanted all over Europe as well. Got to get rid of nationalism to have a world government. That's why they're doing this, and that's why Trump's got to go.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so brilliant what he did with the Syrian pulling out, and then you got Turkey coming down, and they've got the 20-mile border now, the safe zone, kind of like they had between North Korea and South Korea. And I mean, he's doing it without military involvement. Trump is. He's getting them to take care of their own people. They're in charge, and they're trying. I thought it's funny. Iran's trying to send these terrorists they've got in holding back to the countries like Italy and France.
They sure didn't want to take them either, did they? Kicking and screaming the whole way.
Yep.
I think you're exactly right, though, Phil, because remember, it all goes back perfectly in alignment with their 16-year plan, too.
Yes, you got to get rid of nationalism. You heard him about 10, 15 minutes ago say nationalism is the reason why they can't do the world order, the world government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, plus, the courts are so important, and we flipped the Second Circuit Court today, and we'd already flipped the third, and the ninth, we've got 6 new.
You're talking about
we covered that last week, remember, Scott?
Yeah, but I mean, today there was a new one. They flipped the second.
There's a new one.
Yeah.
So now we got the second, the third, and the ninth is almost there, and that's the worst in the country.
I know, isn't that great? I think he's got 9. I think, didn't we say last week 9 out of? I think there's like 25. No, wait, what was the figures? We covered it last week, and I'm sorry, I've already forgotten. But he's got like a 9 appointees out of the 27 or 28 judges on the court. So we're making a definite dent.
Yeah.
It's not working out, ever. It's not working out. How come we're doing the same thing?
When is Ginsburg going?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, when is Ginsburg going?
Well, she's ill again.
Right.
Yeah, they keep. But remember, they just said last week that she was cancer free, and then this week she checked in for. I can't remember the way they phrased it. It was very interesting. It was something like a non-urgent emergency. And I'm going, excuse me, hello.
Boy, it's just always some sort of strange. Why doesn't she step down? Why?
She can't last much longer.
She knows that would hand POTUS the power. If you read Q again, he said that they are keeping her alive by extraordinary off-the-market drugs.
Pull them.
and she's screwed if Trump gets reelected. They can't keep it up for another term.
Well, they can't keep her alive for another 5 years.
Well, I think she even said that. She said that she's.
Months, I'm thinking that's a long time for her.
She even said that she's never going to step down as long as Trump's president.
Yeah, she was going to if Hillary won though, or her son is also fondly like to call her.
Truly, it's weekend at Bernie's.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Really?
Hey, can
I think Bernie's look a little better than she does.
Yeah.
I do want to, it's like Trump always has something huge that comes out. We haven't really talked about it. I think there was 2 things this week. my big takeaway from the week before was Betsy DeVos and the education. He's starting to tackle that side of it because we know how bad the education is, and finally they're addressing that. But this week, I mean, two takeaways. First was that was an amazing speech from AG Barr. He literally spent an hour and a half saying what was wrong with our country and what we needed to do to get back to the Constitution. That was basically laying out what he's going to do if we get the supermajority in 2024 or 2020.
I agree.
And then the other big one was the healthcare thing on transparency.
That was huge.
Yes.
That is huge.
And I meant to say that on Mega Promises. Yeah, we forgot that, Phil. Because, yes, that is huge for transparency.
That's pissed me off for so long. I get bills after surgery. I've had a lot of surgeries. And I'll get these $3,000-$4,000 bills afterwards that I had no clue I was going to be hit with. It just ticks me off.
Well, when they were saying there were discrepancies as much as 1,000%, you can get an MRI at the same hospital for $240, and then another one at the same machine, same hospital for $2,400, and it's like that is nuts.
But you know what? The interesting thing is, we were blind, or America. I'm an insurance broker, so I was aware of all of this stuff that y'all are pointing out. People need to take control of their own health and be incentivized to shop things. And again, he's promoting that. But what people did not realize was, as long as if you think back, as long as insurance was paying everything and you didn't have to worry about it, you didn't really worry about managing your health costs. You didn't worry about shopping that MRI or that whatever. So even though I think they brought this about for nefarious purposes, it's had an upside, and that is educating people to how insurance works. I will tell you, I will get on my quick soapbox. Nothing gripes me worse than for somebody to call my office and tell me, I had a man this week, he's got cancer and has back issues, needs back surgery, and called me asking me for a policy. And guys, I don't care what the mainstream media has tried to tell you, but pre-existing conditions, though we love them, is still not something that should be mandated. That is something that should be given freely. No company that has never received a dime of premium should have to accept someone because and write out $1 million check the next day. So it has required us to become more educated, but it also, we need to call a spade a spade. That is charity. That is not something that should be mandated. We should love our people enough to open up options. But what they fail to point out is we had those options before Obamacare, and it was called a high-risk pool. Every state had them. So there's a lot of education that needs to go on, and that's not always such a bad thing. Silver lining to some things. Just saying.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think what we'll do this week is try to get through 20 more minutes of this and do the other half next week.
Yeah, because I do want to leave a little time at the end to recognize a couple of our MAGA patriots that we got to talk about. So at the end.
Why doesn't this ever change?
We'll try to get through 20
You don't have any new ideas?
The rest of it next week.
Oh, I'll show you in a minute. Oh, we have new ideas. You're going to love them.
What's happening to me?
Let me take you to 1983. The U.S. government formed a new organization that would be like Freedom House, except on steroids. They called it NED. Who doesn't love NED? The National Endowment for Democracy. Again, funded by the U.S. government, and even subject to congressional oversight. Yet it still insists on calling a NGO for some reason. Don't ask me how that works. But NED acts as a grant-making foundation, giving your dollars to private groups in other countries with the purpose of promoting democracy in those countries. NED's board of directors, they are great people. There's Carl Gershman as president. Now, who's Carl Gershman? Don't worry, he's just the former executive director
of the Social Democrats USA. Yeah, the other main socialist part in the U.S. is Gershman. He's still the president of NED today. For the deep state to survive, longevity and tenure is key. So when they created NED, it was approved by Congress, and one of its founding purposes, was this: promoting non-governmental participation in democratic training programs and strengthening democratic electoral processes abroad in cooperation with indigenous democratic forces. Wow, that sounds like a fancy way of saying, I don't know, revolution and election interference. But it goes on. When Congress reauthorized NED a few years later, there was additional mandates. And it's this one, that NED consult with the State Department on any overseas programs it funds prior to the commencement of their activities. Wow. So if you're tracking with me, the National Endowment for Democracy, supposedly an NGO, even though it's fully funded by you, coordinates with the State Department before it starts any of its overseas activities. Perfect. Let me show you some. By 2008, our nation building was not working, especially when it came to Afghanistan and Iraq. That's when we got our first community organizer in chief, President Barack Obama. Oh my gosh. Now Barry, later known as Barack, he rose through the political ranks in the same wolf in sheep's clothing mold of the Fabians. Distract and dazzle with hope while delivering tons of change. Oh, he was all over. Overseas, we obviously needed a change of strategy because it wasn't working. Here, the panel's report assails the CIA for failure on Iraq weapons, the 7 deadly sins of failure in Iraq, and of course, we all know that picture. The CIA and military ops weren't cutting it anymore. We'd have to tailor our nation building, country by country. How are we going to do that? Well, welcome to the age of irresponsibility. Because the deep state didn't stop its efforts altogether. No. They just farmed them out. They found a better way. That way they don't have to be responsible. The military would pull back, and we'd use a private military company like Blackwater. State Department pulls out, and we'll use those NGOs. CIA pulls back, and, well, we have Google, and Twitter, and Facebook. They're doing all the community organizing on a global scale, and we can't control them. Or can we? You see, the tools have changed, but you still heat the world and remold it nearer to the heart's desire. One of the main architects of this 21st century strategy was in the Obama White House, and we talked about her an awful lot at the time. Her name is Samantha Power. And her doctrine was really known as the responsibility to protect. I explained it 8 years ago on Fox. Why don't you get together with my charity group? So she did. And then they spawned, you ready? The Global Center for the Responsibility to Protect, which gives us the responsibility to protect doctrine, which sends us into Libya. Isn't that weird? By the way, Open Society, only one of 2 of the foundations that bankroll this whole idea. So, it was her idea that George Soros creates a foundation that gets this whole responsibility to protect thing through. The very same doctrine that was used because she has his ear. I wonder who has his other ear. Uh-oh, I remember now, her husband. So the U.S. military action in Libya is based on this. And this is these are all the very diverse people that got together to say, back fall
Hey, by the way, we should do something about democracy in Egypt. Did that work out for us? Libya? Deep state is not a conspiracy theory. This is a long tale. Okay? And they're not meeting like Spectre in some little secret society room. But it is an ingrained culture of unelected officials who have their plans set and they work to fulfill their goals, regardless who the president is. Bush, Obama, Trump, doesn't matter. That's the deep state, a vast bureaucracy built over a century on the backs and shoulders of the elite, the progressive, the academic ideology, creating a sustained culture like that slowly over time is much more effective than some short-term conspiracy that, if you could put it together, pull it off. This is the old Fabian society methodology. The idea that it just takes time. They didn't stop after the disaster with Benghazi and Libya. No. They changed course. The overall through line here, continuing in what we're going to show you in just a minute, is this elite class of progressives, academics, socialists that are slowly heating up and molding the world, heating it up. They're pushing for socialism by touting democracy. They are funding radical groups to overthrow governments overseas. And they are ready to swoop in to help shape new governments along the lines that's closer to their heart's desire. And it's all being done in your name with your money. Now, you want to get to the facts? Don't listen to anybody who can't show you the original documents. Don't listen to anybody on this impeachment hearing or any of this stuff, any of it, unless they have the facts, unless they have the documents, unless they have it in their own words, unless they have them on videotape, which is what we do. And I'll show that to you next.
Okay, I think he's up to the chalkboard piece, so we want to save that for next week?
Sure.
Yeah. Pretty good place to
49. I gotta write this
cut
down.
it off.
Yeah, I gotta write this down so I know where I cut it off. Okay, so next week we'll see what's going on with the rest of it. He must be up to modern day what's going on here, but the comment he made about like what's going on in, I'm assuming what's going on in Hong Kong, France with the yellow vest. I guess he's saying be leery of that because this might all be organized by the deep state.
Well, in France they were protesting over her taxes.
Right, but I don't know. I guess we'll see next week. But
yeah,
with this connection to these deep state actors who are all in the State Department, obviously, and different organizations like the Council on Foreign Relations and all these NGOs that have no congressional oversight, they're using taxpayer dollars. Are they using taxpayer dollars to create chaos in all of these countries?
Yeah, it's what it sounds like. It sounds like it's just worldwide.
So that they can.
It is.
So that they can swoop in and say, "Oh, that's just it. We just have to take over."
See, we never had this much chaos until Obama got in office.
Well, I think what they're saying is we have had this much chaos, that this has been going on since Woodrow Wilson.
Maybe it's brought it to head more, because they've been brought out of the hiding. They don't hide their agenda anymore. If you notice, they just like with I call him Gumby, but other people affectionately call him Beto. But Gumby, told us the truth. you're freaking right. We're going to take your guns away. Elect me, and then I'm going to take your guns away. He's a moron, but I think that just shows you they've always got an agenda. And you don't ever really know what it is until that you elect them. That's why they're so dangerous.
Maybe
it's just like what we're doing with our healthcare now. We need transparency and auditing of all of our taxpayer money. I want to know where it's going. I want to know what NGOs it's going to, and I want to know what the NGOs are spending it on. Yep. That would take care of it.
Maybe I should rephrase. It's more transparent than in the past.
Yes, it is. It's been brought to the forefront, isn't it?
Yeah.
And see, you know, that Q has said that their symbolism will be their downfall. Well, I think that, you know, it's like I always told my daughter when she was growing up, date a man for a really long time to find out if that's really who you want to marry, because, you know, people can put on airs or masks for a short amount of time, but it's hard for them to maintain over the long haul. And I think that's where the Dems and the left-wing lib nuts and the one world order nuts, I think that's where they find themselves. I think their mask is cracking. I think it's getting harder and harder to keep up the facade. And you know who's brought that to the forefront? Who's driven it to the forefront of the American consciousness, well, actually the world's consciousness, is President Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, well, they were so close to all they wanted. If Hillary had won, then they would have had everything they wanted, and we've set them back years. And that's why they're so pissed and just coming out in the open now and saying, "Screw it, let's just take over."
But
and they're so frustrated they're making those mistakes.
Yes, desperation and frustration. And I say we give them a ton more. And by being online, by spreading the word, put a Q sign on your in your front yard. Do something. Whatever, you know, I get on my soapbox every week. Whatever gift God gave you, find a way to use it for our movement. That's how we're going to be strong. That's how we're going to take our country back. Rising up in one unified voice saying, "You sorry MFers, we aren't ever letting you have it back again. We're taking it from you, and we're going to give it back to you tenfold." Just saying.
Well, I got a little video here from Something Wicked. It looks like a new one. So.
Are we going to see the basement?
There's no basement at the Alamo.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
Oh. They are good.
Oh, I've just lost our.
And of course, we do have. Oh, here we go. We're still going. Is there something else coming up here, Phil?
No. I don't.
Okay.
Wait, do we need a?
I just played it. I just played the one that was up there. Oh, there's another one. There's another new one.
Me and Doc switched positions, and I've got like a baby.
After years of rebuilding.
Hold on, I got another one from Something Wicked. It looks like a campaign commercial for.
I'm
Donald
sitting
Trump.
next to my other good friend, Grandma, and put my arm around her.
After years of rebuilding foreign countries, we are finally rebuilding our country, and we are doing it with American aluminum, and we are doing it with American steel.
Thank you very much.
Damn straight 4 more years.
Amen. I'd give him as long as he lives if they'd let us.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know.
And Friday,
President for life.
how about Friday? We hit 28,000 on the Dow.
Dang.
Wasn't that fabulous?
Do you know what that is?
When he took over back, 2-3 years ago, Obama is up around 17,000. 17,580, I believe it was. And now we're up to 28,000.
That was probably his top game.
Do you know what that is? I'm telling you, this is what I truly believe. I think the stock market is recognizing that Trump's going to be reelected and there's nothing the Dems could do. They just
absolutely.
They watched those impeachment, whatever that was, and they've said, yeah, they don't have a chance, and they know Trump's going back in.
Yeah, Trump's been spanking Powell over at the Fed on a regular basis.
We just had a troll meltdown, Grandma, because you said that. Holy cow.
What was that?
ladies.
Am I triggering the trolls?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so that stock market's amazing. I just have been, and it's just going to keep going. And I think the other thing is that we've gotten rid of all the players that are in the stock market that can manipulate it. I think they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Or getting there. We're close.
We're close. I think that we still got a little bit more cleanup work to do because I think we got to do away with the Fed.
Oh, yeah. And go back to the gold standard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've heard mixed on that too, because I've heard that he's not going to mess with the gold standard for a while.
Not till next term.
We just need to get a guy in there that actually will make the interest rate correct and match.
Well, we need to get away from fractional banking, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's reliant on the interest rate and the debt.
Right.
So we've got to get away from that towards back. There is no debt.
The Federal Reserve is not elected. I mean, they're not really a valid institution. I mean, the what's his name? Jerome Powell.
Powell, yeah.
Right.
So I just say do away with them, and I think POTUS again is letting his enemies show what an ass they are.
Well,
it'll start with an audit.
On what we just watched.
Start with an audit.
On what we just watched, they need to get rid of a lot of these NGOs, like the Council on Foreign
just money laundering.
Right.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm telling you, if we audited all these things, I mean, I think we need to implement some sort of auditing system, throughout all of every tax dollar that is spent needs to be audited.
Amen. That's what I'm saying. The fall of the Fed will start with the audit.
And if we're making our dream list, I so support, and I see other people falling into line, like we covered last week, them decentralizing Washington, D.C., because as long as Washington is the hub with all of the left-wing libnuts that live around that area, that just took Virginia, that just tells you we're never going to get them. We're never going to drain the swamp totally. We've got to move them out into the country where they can be closer to the people they serve and actually have regular Americans working. What are you doing?
Oh, Puddle Mama in the chat says, get that perv off Denise.
Thank you, Puddle Mama. I appreciate that.
I can't put the perv on Grandma because she has an avatar.
I felt that stinky breath.
I could put the perv on Rusty, though.
I can't.
Yeah, I still hadn't figured out what's up with my head's floating in the atmosphere there. Black all around me.
How did we all get changed around? And are we missing somebody?
I have no idea. If somebody came in and left, I don't know. That would have done it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's get.
Well, guys, shouldn't we remember if there was somebody in here?
Me.
That's a little concerning, isn't it? It's like, waking your husband up in the middle of the night going, honey, I thought I heard a nose. Him going, oh, no, it's okay. Go back to sleep. You're going, oh, yeah, okay. No problem.
It could be Joe blowing in your ear right now.
No. No.
No, we had somebody in the room before, and then they left before the show started. Remember?
Yeah, that was Steph.
Stephen came in to say hi, and then he left.
It.
Well, it wouldn't go away for a while there, so I don't know what was going on, but his box wouldn't go away, so.
I don't mind sitting by Grandma. She's a hot date.
I like sitting next to Denise.
Woohoo! Us girls, I mean, we're formidable. Like Grandma, takes two of us girls to hang with all of these hairy-legged men.
I know. It's kind of disgusting, isn't it? I'm glad you're next to me.
Sad that's all they brought to they didn't send in their A-team.
So just a little update. They're predicting that John Bell Edwards is going to win.
Oh, fuck.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The Democrats wait till the last so they see how much they have to cheat because they don't want to make it too obvious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's going to make me so freaking mad.
There better be a
You know
recount.
what? If
it
this
depends
is
on the
really,
margin.
If this is really not cheating, then it almost makes you want to say, you know what? You people deserve what you get from now on. If you're so stupid to vote that way. Oh, it makes me so mad. It better be cheating, or else I'm going to be telling you people to pull your pennies up whenever you gripe to me about anything going on. Has Purnell heard this? He is not going to be happy. Purnell, you get up there and you tell those Louisianans how to vote. What is wrong with those people?
What's the margin, Rusty? What do they have to recount?
Well, right now it has. I haven't been watching it.
No, but I mean, what is the margin that they need for a recount?
Oh, it has to be what is it, 10-20%?
Oh, he's only like 800 votes down right now.
Oh, that could change really easy.
There's another parish.
I know, but
I think there should be a margin for a redo.
There's still quite a few precincts left to report. It looks like about 400 or so.
So what do they base that on? Like exit polling?
They could have gone through a heavy Democrat area. You know,
it could have been in an urban area reporting before a rural, or all that kind of thing. But I wish we had somebody that knew more of the.
It's like 11,000
geography
votes.
in Louisiana.
There's almost
like what I'm looking at Vox right now, and they've got 11,000 votes difference, and there's basically 91% that have reported.
The Secretary of State's website for Louisiana says 63 or 64 parishes, 3,558 of 3,934 precincts reporting, and it only shows respond down by like 800 votes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. That's the Secretary of State. It's 50-39 to 49-61.
Okay.
That's what the Secretary of State says. So I would say they were the most up to date, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would think, yeah.
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 Oh,
okay.
He just dropped a little bit more. I just refreshed it. There's still 300 precincts, 330 precincts left, roughly. He's down by 8,000 votes. No, 7,500 votes.
But what did you say? I'm sorry, I missed it. I was reading something. What counties are still need to report? Are they? Do we know if they're more rural or are they more urban? What do we know?
They don't have a map on the site. All they have is, I don't know what the districts are, where they are. So they don't have a map.
I am kind of surprised, other than cheating, if it would be this close. Sure does look like Post had really good support for him built up in Louisiana.
He's down by almost 1%, by a 1%. And there's still 300 precincts to go. So I don't know how you say somebody won.
I know.
I don't like when they do that.
Well, remember they were wrong about Hillary. They were. I think that another
Thank God.
point of clay feet for the Dems is the problem with they also need to really work on. I hate to give them tips, but they start believing their own BS.
Now, what doesn't make sense?
How stupid can you be?
What
Like
doesn't
with
make
polls and
sense
stuff?
is, listen to this: the Republican for the Secretary of State in Louisiana is up 60% to 39%. How do you
See, they're doing that again.
How do you figure that?
Just
How does the Republican ticket win?
No way.
Except for the governor.
Especially when it was up almost 20 points.
Shenanigans.
Do you think POTUS and them are letting this play out so that there's an outcry for voter ID?
I was thinking that a while ago. That kind of came to my mind.
Or he's setting them up. You know how he likes to do that.
I'm sorry. If people are going to vote and they're voting for the Secretary of State, and the numbers equal, there's 818,000 votes for and 542,000 votes against. The other race is 703 to 694. That's about the same number of votes. I don't see people voting for the Secretary of State as a Republican and then skipping the governor. Or switch.
I call bullshit.
It's asinine. It didn't make any sense.
See, what they're doing here is we're going to real IDs. And for that, you need a birth certificate. So we get voter ID, that could solve that problem.
Well, no, I don't think that's the problem here. I think the problem here is this voting machines again? Because I saw an article where Judicial Watch was looking into people who voted for the governor in, I can't remember if it was Louisiana or whatever state it was. The Republican ticket, it might have been Kentucky, where Republican votes were flipped to Democrat.
Yeah.
Thousands of them. They're saying thousands and thousands of votes were flipped.
And I'm gonna tell you something else. We went and voted just not too long ago on several propositions, and walking up, this is how incorrigible I am. Walking up to the building, I had a little piece of paper I taped to my shirt, and it said "Use paper ballots." And I think that may have been all we had. I don't know. I didn't see any machines. But I had my little sign just in case taped to my chest. And then when I got in there, they won't let you have anything like that. So I just tore it off.
Who runs the voting machines in the United States?
Soros.
Yeah.
Soros.
Yep.
And how many of them did Q say were already pre-programmed? A bunch. But you always request a paper ballot that's as safe as you can get right now.
Dang.
They can't flip those though?
Yeah, they can mess with them because remember they had in the 2016 presidential election, they had cartons of them that they were moving around and were blank ballots that they could fill in as they needed, and things disappeared and others were appeared. So they can cheat any way they want, but it makes it harder.
Okay. Well, this is ridiculous. Now, what do we do about this? I mean, this is, I'm looking at it too, Phil, and it's like, how can it be 60-40 for Secretary of State and 50-50 for, it just makes no sense.
No.
What can the people of Louisiana do? I mean, can they just
They demand a recount.
Yeah, but, so they're going to recount the same fake ballots again? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, don't know. I think they've had stuff in play to try to prevent this. I'm hoping against hope that, that they've had somebody watching or some way to catch them in the act. I don't know if that's
something.
I don't know if that's
something's got to be done
or not.
That just doesn't look right at all. I mean, that's just bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
But it's the second time in how many weeks?
Yeah.
So maybe POTUS can use this.
Maybe they already know. Maybe they already have it.
That's what I'm saying. they were just allowing it so they get the proof. I'm really, really hoping. Because POTUS and them have been watching this, and he's been, how many trips did he make to Louisiana? 3 or 4? That showed he knew it was going to be tough. But you cannot look at those masses of thousands of people screaming every one of those rallies and think that Rasponi's going to lose. I just don't see that.
Exactly.
Well, especially if you look at the Secretary of State race.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
It's just, 2 forms of ID should be required. Legal picture with an ID and residence address.
Well, this could be another issue with the voting machines. If they're electronic voting machines flipping votes.
Yep. There's got to be some way to deal with that.
Well, let's hope that POTUS has this under control and knows that what's going on and they've caught him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure he's definitely watching it.
Because then that's going to make the case for the voter ID a lot better. Because Q keeps saying that we're going to have voter ID.
Yes, he said. Remember, not too long when right before he went on his silence, his 90-something days of silence, he said that the big push was starting for voter ID. So I think that they were having a big play in mind. That's why it's giving me hope that they've done something to either offset this or to document it so they can prosecute or call attention. I don't know, but I hope they've had a second.
Well, that reminds me, there was an EO, I think it was either this past week, may have been the week before, and it was on by the end of before the end of next year that we're all going to have a new kind of identification card. And I'm thinking
real ID. That's real ID.
Real ID, but it could also be turned into a voter ID card real easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it
and
could.
I'm thinking that may be what that is.
Can I just say that Scott looks like a jihadi right now?
I do. What's up with this shit? I mean, it's like my beard is this black thing. And I changed my hat. I don't know what's up with it.
That is too funny.
Because I look fine here on the screen with you guys. It's only when I go over and look on Periscope.
No, Scott, stay away from the virgins.
I think I only watched 7, You're
just going to use some firecrackers and not go with the suicide vest?
I think Phil was trying to be kind to me. I've got gray in my beard, and so he's blacking it out for me.
You look kind of like a white David Harris Jr.
Oh,
that dark beard.
Yeah,
you look like a white David Harris Jr. That is funny.
Okay,
I guess I need to go find a red shirt.
Guys, it's 10:55, and I know Doc wants to say something here, and that should take a while.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead, Doc.
All right, now, Mister. It does. But y'all, I did want to ask for all of our Patriot family to join us in prayer. I'd like to start it off right now, if you don't mind. I know we've been having a good time, and the atmosphere is a little lighthearted, but one of our fellow Speakeasy
groupies
had co-hosts had a terrible little problem, health scare, and that's Miss Sandra. So we are asking everybody to join us in prayer because Miss Sandra had a health scare. They took care of her. God, in His infinite mercy, knew that this was coming and provided for her. My understanding is that she's been treated and is up and doing well. But I want to say a prayer to say, thank you, God, for taking care of our little sweet Sandra. We love you, Sandra. We know that you are going to be just fine, darling. But we want you to know that you have our prayers. We love you and we miss you and miss your feistiness, and I hope you come back soon. And the other, and I'm sorry, when it comes to my chicklets, I just get a little emotional. the other person that I really wanted to just say to keep in your prayers is our little sweet grandma.
Aww.
We lost her very dear friend this week. And guys, you know, it is so wonderful to be amongst MAGA friends and to have this camaraderie and the true friendship that I feel for all of you, the love that I feel for all of you. But we know that in real life, to lose a friend, someone that you have been best friends with for years, is a very difficult thing.
Well,
so I apologize.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. It's been a rough
But
day.
We did want to tell you that, extend our condolences and tell you that we will be praying for you, Grandma, and we will be lifting you up. We know
Thank you.
God will take care of you.
I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. We sent her off well. I gave this amazing eulogy, and we laughed and we danced at the end, and that's exactly how she would have liked it.
Yes,
so
it was.
I appreciate that.
She is dancing the streets of gold. But if y'all would just join me for a quick prayer, if you bow your heads, I just want to talk to the Lord about this. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just only come before you tonight, Lord. We just, in awe of your mightiness, God, in awe of your foresight and your planning, God, that you knew these things were coming to pass and that you provided a way for our little sweet Sandra. God, we just thank you for your tender ministrations to her, providing her with the wonderful medical treatment and the facilities to be right there when she needed them. Lord, just help her little family, because we know this has just scared them to death. But we thank you. We see your hand in all of this, God. You are our great Jehovah Rapha, our God that heals. We just thank you for that. We thank you for your tender ministrations to our sweet little Sandra and her family, Lord. We're going to count on you to continue that, God, as she mends and recovers. And Lord, we just also want to thank you for our sweet grandma. She is our sweetheart. We love her. She's feisty, and she is a wonderful, wonderful human being, Lord. But Lord, we know her heart is broke because she's lost her dear friend. And we know what that must feel like. So we ask you, Lord, just to extend your comfort. God, hold her up so that her heel doesn't even strike a stone, that she knows while she grieves that her little friend is just dancing the streets of gold, that she is restored, renewed, reinvigorated, and would tell us if we could just see her not to worry, not to wish her back. And Lord, though we know this, we know it grieves the family and friends she leaves behind. So we ask you, please, to comfort them. And God, we ask all of this in your mighty name. And we ask it as forgiven sinners, Lord. We're asking you also to forgive us of our sin. God, don't give up on us. Don't give up on America. We are fighting back. We dropped the gauntlet for a little bit, but we are back. We are with you. And God, we just open ourselves up to be used by you for your plan and your glory. In Jesus' most holy name, amen.
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 Amen. Amen. Thank you. You got me crying now.
Sorry, I didn't mean, they always say to find a man that ruins your lipstick, not your mascara. They didn't throw in Doc Martin. Sorry.
President Trump has restored the idea of America.
Keep America great! Exclamation point.
The Dow Jones made history today, closing over 26,000 points for the first time.
This is a standout report.
He's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What magic wand do you have?
Hand me down the walking cane. Hand me down my hat. I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. The collusion delusion is over. Your fake news. Unbelievable. So dishonest.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President. Mr. President, are you...
That's enough. Put down the mic.
So much winning.
Everything he does.
Every day is NASCAR.
Seems to come out right.
Donald Trump, keeper of promises.
And all it means is just keeping time. How in the world did he learn that? Oh, Lord. Well, I have to get away.
I am with you. I will fight for you. And I will win for you. America is winning again. With your help on November 3rd, 2020, can you believe it's right around the corner? So you ready? Let's go. Let me hear it. Make America great again. Thank you, Texas. Thank you. Goodbye, Hillary.
And with that, we're going to close it out here. First up is Kimmy Electrolux. Thank you, Kimmy. Next up is Rusty Iceman in the top right corner.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend.
And we're going to go to Grandma Smith.
Thank you, all you little whippersnappers, you mega whippersnappers out there. Thanks for tuning in.
Scott of West Texas.
Well, I did want to throw in really quick 2 fast, ridiculous stories, both on the NFL. Y'all heard about the NFL. They were doing a Kaepernick special yesterday where they invited all the teams out. I think 20 teams showed up and all, like 32 sponsors. He didn't show. Kaepernick didn't show up.
He took a knee.
He moved it. But they moved it to another location an hour later. Did any of the teams show up?
I don't know.
He said it was in order to force transparency that the league did not have. I'm going, you know what? Y'all deserve that man if you go back for more with him. You deserve everything you get. I hope it costs you every amount of money you've got, because it's already cost him a fortune. He got awarded a huge sum. And if you have not noticed, all the stadiums are empty. So he's cost them at the wazoo. Would they go back for more? Once, shame on you. Twice, shame on me. Remember?
Yeah, and we've all been pissed at the NFL already. And then now today it says NBC cuts patriotic segments of NFL football theme song. So you know that
they're trying to get us back.
They cut out all the patriotic parts.
Figures.
Yep.
Alrighty. Now
you know what I'm hanging on for?
Just all learn.
For that new league that starts in 2020, because guess what I'm going to be?
Ladies of Liberty just popped up, so.
Okay, I'm hurrying. But guess what I'm going to be with the new football league? I'm not going to just be a cowboy. I'm going to be a renegade. Woo! Does that sound tough? Can't wait to wear renegade T-shirts. Woo-hoo!
All right.
I like something tough.
All right, Doc Martin, you're up.
Well, I've already been chastised about hurrying, so I better just say this quick. But I love all of y'all. Thank you for coming. You got to come back next week for us to finish and see what else has transpired in the meantime. Because you know, with our wonderful POTUS, that there is new winning every week. He's never a boring date. So we're going to catch you on the flip side. Don't forget us when you see us out on the scopes and stuff. Y'all be sure and say hi and tell all your friends to come watch us. If for nothing else, we're a lot of fun.
Kimmy, don't kill me. I was just kidding.
It's okay.
Be sure to,
I'm going to reach through and
be sure to catch our the other shows out there, all the other scopers. You got the Ladies of Liberty. They're on right now. Trust and Verify is tomorrow night, Sunday night, 6 o'clock, I believe. Boogie's back. Boogie Bumper's back. The Daily Boogie. You got
favorite
Kimmy.
things with our favorite Electrolux.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you said it, not me.
I'm gonna be in trouble now.
Kimmy Jong
Hey,
Un.
and don't forget, Stable Genius and 10 Homesteader in the morning on Patriot Soapbox, 10 a.m. Eastern. Patriot Soapbox. If you miss it, remember on YouTube, you can rewind back to it. So don't miss it because Q's back posting like crazy.
You got the Mac Files on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I think he's actually scoping over himself. Pirate Radio is Friday night. What about can't remember her name in our chat. Our Lighthouse.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I can't remember her name. I feel so bad now.
Why am I blanking out? I am so sorry, darling. I love you. And I can't
Denver.
believe
Nancy
Denver night?
Sutherland. Nancy
No,
Sutherland.
but we love
No.
Denver.
Nancy
And we
Sutherland.
love Pepper Potts.
Nancy,
Nancy Sutherland, Our Lighthouse.
thank you.
I hope I didn't forget anybody. Enable Abe. His scopes are
I was
pretty good.
gonna say
They're
Abe.
on,
Yeah.
I think
And Rusty has been scoping some very good scopes. So
Thank
we
you.
got to give a shout out to our very own Iceman.
And don't forget, Promises Kept, Friday night at 8. And the Speakeasy show right here at 9 o'clock on Saturday night. Did I say Friday night? Am I doing a Chris Mack
Yes,
my
I'm
own show
going.
again? I'm Chris Macking myself.
Did we have a date I forgot about?
Don't forget, you can
Kimmy,
send
my favorite things.
You can send your favorite hate mail or your hate mail to Doc Martin at winning_TV at protonmail.com.
Don't you dare.
Thank you to our Patreon. Cindy, our Patreon. We need another one. We need one more.
Double our Patreons with
Yeah.
one more.
One more.
I don't know how Phil is going to decide how to spend that $1.
Yeah. We have to split that $1 8 ways. Come on.
No, you need to be keeping it all for that clickless mouse you got that Miss Christie was talking about.
It'll cost me more in postage to send you the 26 cents and change.
Oh, y'all are too fun.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll catch you
Good
next
night.
Saturday.
Good
Don't
night.
forget to catch
night.
the second
Good
half.
night. Good
Don't
night,
forget-
Jihadi Scott.
Don't forget to join us next Saturday for the second half of the Glenn Beck story, the Democrats' Hydra. I think it's going to get very interesting, and there's probably going to be some stuff in there that you don't even know. I'm sure there will
Oh,
be.
yes.
Yeah, I had a lot more questions on this second part than the first, so next week should be very good.
All right, everybody, have a good night.